Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Tom Laux with the Communications Department, City of Marshfield, and we're doing the Get to Know program with the candidates for the school board, and this is for the primary on February 20th. Yep, that's coming up here quickly. And today I have Frances Bohon with me. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. Well, we're going to get to know you a bit better here and go through a bunch of questions like we did some of the other candidates. You are an incumbent and you are currently the school board president, but let's learn about you and your family first.
Well, I'm passionate about kids, and that comes partly because I have 5, and I've had foster kids, and I have 7 grandchildren. So the year that my youngest child graduated, the very next year the first grandchild started in our school system. So I currently have grandkids at the high school, the middle school, and 2 elementaries in Marshfield. So you can understand my passion for kids.
Are you from Marshfield originally, or did you move here?
I moved here, but so long ago that it's been over half my lifetime in Wisconsin and close to half my lifetime in Marshfield. So I have totally been embedded in the community, and I love this community. I don't take it for granted because it's provided a good upbringing for my children here, good values. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, let's get into the questions. We have quite a few. And one of the things I want to know is you're rerunning, and I don't know how long you've been doing this. You could let us know. But why are you rerunning, and what do you want to do in this next election if you get in?
Well, for one thing, I've always been a cheerleader and a prayer warrior for our schools and our kids. And that passion has not faded. I think that we are in the midst of really strengthening our core curriculum. Our teachers have worked, the board has worked with our staff and teachers to strengthen our reading and writing curriculum. Mm-hmm. The teachers K through 3rd grade have done professional development with the science of reading. Currently, we're doing a big push with the math. We have, the teachers have done professional development there. We changed our math curriculum for our regular courses, not all of them, but starting this school year. The kids seem to like it. It brought back more paper and pencil and less online stuff. And we are looking at doubling the instruction time at the middle school. So that still has to come to the board on how we would do that. So I'm looking forward to that discussion. I just think those are important things to keep moving, and I would like to keep them moving.
Okay. Well, thank you for that information. Passion is what moves it on. I've been doing this a long time, you said, right?
Yes.
And enjoy it. So that's a big part of it. If you enjoy what you do, it makes it a lot easier. Is there any issues or that motivates you to want to do this? I know some of this might be a little bit redundant in some of the questions, but is there any particular issue?
I think the keeping curriculum strong is one thing, but I think we also need to work on some unity of vision with the community and our staff and the board through some strategic planning and maybe even revisiting our vision and mission statements. Mm-hmm. I see a lot of tangential stuff going on, and to bring that back to center and what the kids need and what's best for their education, which is opening up their options for their futures, is where we need to stay focused.
Okay. Well, this is a good chance to talk about community activities, maybe organizations that help you in the position that you currently have, and if you get elected moving in. Is there any of those organizations you want to talk about that you're involved in?
In the past, I had been involved with the Hannah Center Board and some other community boards, and way in the past even helped develop a child care center for a university. And so I'm used to channeling community resources for needs that need to be met. At this point in time, I am honest in that my devotion right now is to the school board, and I am not diluting that with too many other activities other than the kids' activities, which are the most important to me. So I stay involved with the kids, and over the years, Boy Scouts and sports and all kinds of things that they're involved in. So I will continue to do that.
Okay, great. There are 6 other candidates besides you. The 2 incumbents, you and Sam Steiner. I think that's how you pronounce her last name.
Yes.
And what differentiates you from the other candidates that are coming in, or even Sam?
I think the first thing is that I need to, that I have the skills to listen and to bring all the stakeholders to the table. I think that's important if you want buy-in, if you want to work with teachers. The education happens in the classroom. So you need their expertise. You need to be able to work with others and stay focused. I think that's one thing that differentiates me. I also have skills in both listening but also studying and problem solving through my past jobs as an attorney and an oncology nurse. I think that brings a lot to the table as far as understanding the needs of our professional staff. I'm also a small business owner, and I know that I recognize the value of the dollar in hard work because my life has been full of that. I have gone through widowhood. I've gone through being a single parent. I've gone through remarriage. I'm now running small businesses. So it's important to me to honor the generosity and the taxpayers' contributions to our schools by doing it cost effectively.
All right. Well, you answered a few of the other questions that we have, like experience and skills, because you do run your own business. You've been doing a lot of things throughout your life that really helped you, what you said here in your position that you're in. Let's talk a little bit about PR and promoting your candidacy. Are there any signs? I did see one out there today when I was driving around for one of the candidates, but anything for you? Out there, are you doing any signage or not yet?
I will get some out
Sure,
there.
I understand.
To me, the most important thing is to connect with the voters personally. So I'm hoping if anyone wants a meet and greet with a group of friends or any other type of group, I think that's where you get to know people and hear their opinions and also answer questions.
Okay. Well, let's talk about some behaviors of a school board or attributes, things like that. What do you feel that a school board needs to do during meetings and outside meetings? Is there anything that they need to be essential to be a school board member in this community?
Well, I think first you have to listen. You have to be good at listening. You need to gather information, so you need to learn. You need to study. And I'm a lifelong student. That's something I appreciate and want to model for our kids also. And I think that you have to be good at working with groups and valuing that input. A lot of the work we do is done in committees or in small groups with staff. So you have to be good at that. And then you have to know your role. You can't operate as a single board member outside of the board operating as a whole. It's one of the tenets of being a board member is that we only act as a whole board. So I have to be cognizant of that. And I think beyond that, you just have to treat people with respect. You don't put people down.
Sure.
If you want to engage them, you don't get their defenses up with that kind of behavior. You learn to work with them by valuing their input, not making them feel like they can't participate.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about roles. Well, you're currently the board president. That is different than the superintendent, I believe.
Yes, it is very different.
What are those roles? Are they rolled from a board member to a board president to a superintendent? They're all different?
The board gives direction. We give direction over how we spend money, over the curriculum. We approve or don't approve curriculum. We give direction over policies, over facilities, and then we give direction when it comes to hiring. In other words, if we feel we need a new position filled or need to move roles around within the district to more effectively educate the kids, that's our role. The superintendent's role is to carry all that out with the people that work with him and under him. And so in differentiating, it's important for board members to know that we don't micromanage. We can, when we hear about things, we can ask questions, we can make sure that things are done according to policy and even-handedly, things like that. But I know I've had people in the community think I should get involved in some student matter, but their student confidentiality is big for both staff and board members, and the board doesn't micromanage all those little consequences in 7 different schools with almost 4,000 students. That's the role of the staff in the buildings. So we also have to be impartial in case anything more serious comes to us in the way of an expulsion hearing. We would have to recuse ourselves if we got too involved in all that. So those types of roles aren't always understood by the public. And the other thing is, I just want to reemphasize, I think I've already said this, we don't act as individuals, we act as a board that votes on things and brings them forward to the whole board to decide. Okay.
All righty. Well, if you're just joining us here on our Get to Know program, I'm here with Frances Bohon. She's an incumbent and running for the school board. And we're going to talk a little bit about communications when we come right back after this break.
Hello, friend. Welcome to the Folklorist.
Well, welcome back to our program with Frances Bohon, and we're going to talk about communications. Well, what is the role of PR communications for the school board and the entire school? We hear a lot about communications from parents, and what is that role?
Well, there's so many layers to it that it's hard to synthesize all that. But I think, first of all, we need to be accurate in what we say. If you are not accurate in education, you're not training your kids up well. And we have to listen. We often show up for events we support by being there. And with the public, I think when I get a personal phone call, I try to answer a question if that's what they're calling about. If they have an issue they're trying to deal with and it's not my place to deal with it, I try to tell them what they can do. There's a form online where you can put something about bullying, or did you ask the teacher, or did you go to the principal, or whatever the issue is. So you have to know your system and how to help people through that system. That's important. So I think that also giving a clear message is important. Sometimes people get very sidetracked with a lot of extraneous things, and we need to stay focused on the kids and have a clear message.
Okay. Accessibility to the community. You were talking about phone calls. Are there other ways that you would be accessible to parents and students if needed as a board member?
Yes, well, on the phone calls, I've always been in the phone book.
Yep.
But I show up at things when invited. I love invitations. Mm-hmm. I've had groups invite me to talk about our curriculum. Mostly is the interest. Sure. Also, just communicating at listening sessions, hearing them, and clarifying things in meetings. There are a lot of acronyms mm-hmm. in education, so I try not to use those. I'm just willing to be out there and available.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about preparing students. We know that the school is pretty good on the marks that they get back from the state test scores. One of the top schools in the state, within the top 25, I think. That's pretty good. But what else would you do as a board or even an individual to help prepare students to be better ready for the community once they graduate?
Well, first of all, I never take anything for granted. So we stay vigilant in making sure our core curriculum is strong, but over the past years, we have greatly increased the opportunities for students in career-based learning. Over half of our students get certificates, industry-related certifications, which is huge. We still get recognized for our AP participation and the success rate of the students in their performance, getting a 3 or greater on the exam. We partner with a lot of businesses. The list is huge that help us in that community-based mm-hmm. type educations, apprenticeships. We also have partnered with Mid-State Tech and the universities. We do more dual credit courses than we used to, besides the AP type things. So our teachers have really been the impetus behind seeing what they could offer our students. It saves the parents a lot of money for the kids to be taking courses that already apply to their education after they leave the high school. Our graduation rate is very good, much above the state, 90-something%. Yeah. So we've kept kids in school through the alternative school mm-hmm. and through our partnership with our Rural Virtual Academy for parents that want to kind of homeschool but still take advantage of expertise from professional teachers that are there for their kids. So all of these are things that we've done to give kids every opportunity to explore their talents and to meet their needs and to find out what they want to do with their future and prepare them for that.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk about the role of teaching children topics such as sex education, which has been in the schools forever, but there's some new things that have been going on. I don't even know if bullying is new that's been going on, but wellness, cyber safety. What is the role of the school to teach some of these things? Is there a role for the school to do this or
Yes,
not?
yes. So we do it in a number of ways, but always in partnership with the parents. For instance, our Student Services Department just sent out a bulletin or newsletter type thing on digital citizenship. So we partner with them in how to teach the kids to be good citizens online. As far as wellness, our food services, of course, and our family and consumer ed talk to kids about healthy lifestyles. When it comes to the education, you called it, I think, sex ed or human growth and development
Right.
is what we call it in
Yeah.
the curriculum. It always needs to be age appropriate.
Okay.
That is huge. And I believe that when you teach it, you need to preserve modesty for students that have that. And yet you also have to have resources for kids that might be facing more serious issues and need some guidance, maybe not in the classroom, but as a result of classroom discussion that may bring that to the fore and leave those doors open to help them. So those are roles that the school district takes on, and we communicate with parents for opt-out options in the human growth and development curriculum. We also, on bullying, that really came up during the Black Lives Matter thing. That's what we did as a district. We just re-emphasized that name-calling and labeling people is divisive, it's discouraging, it doesn't help you accomplish anything, and we as board members and staff have to model that for the kids because it just also divides communities if adults don't model the same behavior.
We went through a referendum in the spring of 2023, is that right? Yes, 2023, it's already 2024, wow.
Yes.
How do you handle budget cuts? And I brought that up because it didn't pass, but you know, the board always has to deal with that. That's part of being a board member, right? They're hard decisions.
Right.
How do you do that? How do you look at it?
Well, I'm going to start by clarifying.
Okay.
This was the buildings referendum.
Yes.
So if it were an operational referendum, we would have to cut if it didn't pass. But with the buildings referendum, what we did was give the community information about an aging HVAC system at the high school and wanting to keep the building good for hopefully decades going forward. We also gave them information about the increase in our tech ed and the fact that those parts of the building have really become very cramped and inefficient. And if we could remodel and expand those areas, it would increase the instructional time for the students and allow that program to really operate more efficiently with the number of students we have in those classes now. We also looked at safety at Grant School because that office is not up near the door like it is at the other schools, and we wanted to remedy that. So having said that, when it comes to a building referendum, what we are doing is letting the community know the needs. We offer information, and then it's up to the community if that's important to them and how they vote. When it comes to an operational referendum, if those don't pass and you can't keep up the current operations at the level you are doing, then when you look at cuts, it's a process. You look at things that don't affect as many kids first, and you try and preserve. You try and preserve the core stuff, the interactions of students and teachers have to be strong. So you try and cut out things that don't affect the kids as much. So that's one reason some of the building stuff kind of gets pushed aside and then later brought to the public.
Okay. Well, thank you for that explanation of the difference. It helps a lot when people are looking and learning more about what's happening in their school district. We got about a minute and a half left. Is there a piece in here that I didn't address before we do the last question that you wanted to bring up here in our conversation together?
Remember all those
That's all right. I had a lot of questions. We didn't get to them all, but here's one that I do want to ask is, the state's always involved in education. Do you see any changes that need to be made on the state level to help out?
I think that we communicate with our legislators regularly. I do as board president, and so does our superintendent. We would like to maintain as much local control as possible, only because we're different than other school districts in many ways, and we're different than Loudoun County, Virginia, or Portland, Oregon. And to maintain our own identity, we need that local control. So I say that because it's not that we want them to do more. Sometimes we want them to do less. We've also been fortunate to be ahead of the curve sometimes in what the legislature does. We had local standards of teaching before the state gave us standards, and ours dovetailed well, so we were ahead of the curve. They recently passed a bill about financial literacy and teaching that in the schools. We were already doing it. Being able to do those things is huge, and to have the latitude to do it locally with what our taxpayers want here makes a big difference to me, because I've seen all the added stuff that we get from the state, and some of it's just reporting, and big reports we have to file all the time and be on top of. So we continue to do that, but it would be nice to be free to just concentrate on education in the classroom in Marshfield.
Okay. Well, we have that last question I really want you to address is why should the voters out there vote for you, Frances?
Okay, I think I am accessible. I will give you accurate information. Most of all, I will listen to you. I will learn. I will make sure I get the rest of the story, and that I can convey that and lead with that information. I'm a student at heart, and I think that you have to look at all the details and both short and long-term goals for the kids, and sustainability is a big one. So I think I have the attributes to do that and to lead well. So I listen, learn, and lead. So please vote for me on February 20th and again on April 2nd. And if you would like to set up any kind of a meet and greet, let me know. I'm here for you.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I want to thank you all for watching Get to Know the Candidate.
On each episode of The Jet Set, we have your passport to travel, food, lifestyle tips, and fun.
That's right, hang out with us and buckle up for the talk and tips you need to be an expert traveler, live better, and be inspired to embrace the on-the-go lifestyle.
Don't miss The Jet Set right here on Marshfield Now.